Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Darian Jones. I am the Digital and Development Specialist at Care Partners. We're here with another Hot Topic Live segment. Today, Attorney Rena Nguyen is going to be sharing with us about the importance of a will. So we'll be getting into that in just a minute. But before we get started, I want to give you a couple of updates from Care Partners. So we have a ton of online resources that we update every week. The best way to find that will be on our website, www.carepartnerstexas.org, or you can call us at 713-682-5995. We provide online gathering place resources. We have weekly Common Ground support services, as well as a lot of online education in the form of workshops and conferences. All of our services are free of charge, so we'd love for you to visit our website or give us a call, and we'll help you figure out what areas are of interest to you. You can also email us. We'd love to hear from you. We miss you all so much. And if you want to just send us pictures about how you're doing, what's going on in your lives, or if there's any other ways that we can help you, we would love to hear from you. And you can always email us at info@carepartnerstexas.org. And I think with that, so a quick note, the presentation today is going to be actually a pre-recorded video. So we're so grateful to Ms. Rena for sending this over to us. Her contact information will be on the screen. I'll also put up a slide at the end to make sure you get all of your questions to her. And then, so I think with that, we'll go ahead and get started with the video. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rena Nguyen, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the presentation today. I will be discussing the benefits of having a will, and I will end with some pointers on keeping and updating a will. And first, I want to say that creating a will is not a popular thing to think about. It's emotional and it's uncomfortable. However, people of any age can die from unexpected illness or injury. And so having a will is one of the most important things you can do for yourself and your family. Often when people think of getting around to estate planning, including drafting a will, they have to create these important documents under a time pressure for some certain reason, or under extra stress, or financial hardship, or it's simply too late to execute a will. For example, if you become incapacitated due to life support or mental impairment, you wouldn't be able to finalize a will at that point. Before we talk about the benefits of a will, I want to address something called the Laws of Intestacy, or intestacy laws, that all states have, and that these give a statutory framework for how to distribute someone's property, from homes to money to valuables, if that person dies without a will. In Texas, the deceased person or the decedent's property is divided up based on a decreasing level of connection. These laws may not mirror your wishes. And this can be especially difficult if you have a large family, or if you have a blended family, if you are estranged from parents or siblings, or if you simply have special items that you want to pass on to specific people. The reason this is difficult is that a probate court would be bound to follow the laws of intestacy should you die without a will, and these laws will not take into account your wishes or the unique circumstances. So what are the benefits to having a will? Well, since the law gives you this freedom to make a will that outlines how you wish your property to be distributed, this should be taken advantage of for many reasons. And the following things that I'm going to talk about are the most universal benefits to having a properly written and executed will. One of the most important choices you'll make when writing your will is to choose an executor or executors. And this is someone who's responsible for carrying out the terms of your will. They're the leader of the roadmap, so to speak. The executor has a very big job. They do everything from paying off debts and fees out of the money in your estate, to notifying those who would inherit from you, called beneficiaries, to distributing those inheritances to the beneficiaries. And they even maintain your property while the probate process is happening and until the estate is settled. Now, of course, the reason for your will is to have your wishes followed upon your passing. And so for your property, you get to choose in a will how you want those assets passed on and to whom, and not a statutory formula. The direction in your will can be specific or general. It can be as specific as, I want my wedding ring to go to my niece, or I want my grandmother's china to go to my oldest child or best friend, or in the case of a blended family, to my husband's children. You want to work with your attorney to determine the best way to word your will so that your wishes are closely followed. And also, many of us have animals that would face great uncertainty if we suddenly were there no longer to take care of them. And there are ways that you can provide for and even choose a caretaker within your will to care for your animals, your pets, and farm animals. Also, inside of a will, you can talk about your burial requests, and these can be outlined. This includes any particular practices that you want to follow, such as, do you want to be buried or cremated? Do you want to have a religious or a secular funeral? Do you want to follow any cultural traditions? Some people even attach a memorandum to their will containing more specific directions and wishes written in their very own personal words, and this memorandum can be alluded to within your will. Now, despite the upcut costs of having a will drafted, having a will can save you money by making the probate process simpler and faster in the state of Texas. This is because without a will, your assets will be divided up according to the intestacy laws we discussed a couple of minutes ago. This can be more expensive because the court will oversee the entire process of dividing up your assets according to these laws, and your estate is charged for the court's time, this extra time and expertise. A will can also assist your family emotionally during a very difficult time, because those you've left behind to grieve your passing can know your wishes more clearly. They can avoid arguments and legal challenges that often arise during times of stress and loss, and this clarity can bring peace of mind. It also can bring a protection for those people who you wish to inherit from you. Having a will, and even having ancillary estate planning documents like powers of attorney, these can greatly reduce the stress on loved ones and again thwart these potential disagreements. For example, most litigation arises out of disputes among heirs and the confusion as to what the decedent's wishes, or in the case of powers of attorney, the incapacitated person's wishes actually are. Now, this next slide is for parents of minor children, parents of young kids. Naming a guardian in your will is going to be one of the most important aspects of your will. A guardian is someone who would take over the raising of your children should both parents pass or become incapacitated. Choosing a guardian for your children now is of paramount importance. And if you've not named a guardian in a legal document, a judge is going to follow another set of statutory standards to choose a guardian for you. And this may not be the person you would choose to raise your children in your absence. I also want to mention that inside of a will, you can name a trustee or a money manager, so to speak, to manage the beneficiary's inheritance for them in cases where you would not want someone to inherit your assets outright due to their age or their inability or their disability. The vehicle for this is what we call a testamentary trust, or a trust created under a will. It's not a trust until the will is probated, at which point the terms that you've written into your will would control this trust. These terms include choosing a trustee and who are the beneficiaries of this will. Now, if you have children, whether they're minors or adults, a lot of people like to use a testamentary trust created in their will to provide a safety net for them financially. And these are often called support trusts. These trusts include specific language that some of which you see here on the slide, and that specifies how the money can be used. Also, these types of trusts can protect their inheritance from creditors. Another very important type of a trust that can be done as a testamentary trust is called a supplemental needs trust or a special needs trust. These trusts can be set up within your will to assist a child or an adult or anyone with a disability. Special wording in these trusts allows for discretionary support while preserving public benefits available to a beneficiary for their care. With outright inheritances, either through a will or through intestacy laws, these can often cause public benefits to be reduced or even removed from people. So these special needs trusts protect against that situation from happening. Now, special needs trusts can be used to enhance quality of life for a beneficiary. I've put examples on this slide of ways that funds can be used to include educational programs, travel, supplemental nursing care, and even medical insurance premiums. Just know that whatever kind of trust you would set up through your will, any trustee you choose to manage the assets in the trust will be under a legal obligation to follow the directions in the trust. They will have an enforceable duty to the beneficiaries. All right, well, we've gone over the major benefits of having a properly drafted and executed will, and I'm going to end the presentation today with some tips for keeping and updating your will. The first thing I want to mention is to speak to the people you name or want to name to serve as executors, and if your situation calls for it, for guardians and for trustees. This can ensure a more effective execution of your wishes. I also always advise people that it is wise to choose one or more backup names for these roles. And that is because if your first choice becomes unable to serve should the time come, there is another choice available that can be brought in, and that opening is not left to the court to decide. Your estate planning attorney can work with you to properly word the placing of these backup choices. The next tip I want to discuss is to keep the original of your will in a safe place, such as a fireproof and waterproof lockbox in your home, and you want to tell your executors where your will is located. I also like to advise that you consider attaching a list of where your financial accounts are located. This can greatly aid your executors in finding your assets. Finally, the basic rule is to review your will every 3 to 5 years. You're also going to want to review it more often if significant changes are happening in your life, such as moving to a new state where there's going to be different laws and different requirements for a valid will. If there's a death of a loved one, if there is a birth or adoption of a child, or certainly in the case of divorce. All right, this brings us to the end of our presentation. You can find articles about some of the topics we touched on today on my website, lawofficeofrenanguyen.com. These include topics such as guardians and testamentary trusts for children, for the pitfalls of do-it-yourself wills, and even incorporating your pets into your will. I hope the presentation has been helpful to you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out through the email form on my website or by phone. Thank you so much for listening.
All right. And so that is going to be the end of our presentation today. We just want to say thank you again so much to Rena for taking the time to do that presentation for us. We hope you got some valuable information from it. And as she mentioned, you can visit her website or give her a call to get in contact with her. So I put up her information there one more time. And I'm also going to be putting a link to her handout in the comments section. So just check back there in just a second and you should be able to get a download of her presentation. Just a reminder again, visit the Care Partners website for more educational resources, hot topics, gathering place information, and there's just so many resources that we really want you to see on our website. So be sure to check that out as well. Just thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope to talk to you all soon. Thanks so much. Have a great day.